St Kilda, the most active, arguably, of the trade period.
Arguably, yeah. 4 best 22 players.
Yeah, just insert Silvani, De Koning, Flanders, and Ryan into that. That's full manager career mode. I want these players come into my team.
That's simulate to the end of the season and just do trade period and then simulate the rest of the season. That's what I used to do on FIFA Manager.
I feel like there's a post-trade period sort of, I don't know, like outcry from fans where they want to paint this to be a bad trade period. But how can you do that?
As St Kilda fans?
No. Opposition fans, whether that's jealousy or whatnot, but there is a sort of like, oh yeah, they'll stuff up their salary cap and they kind of look at all these like ambiguous things.
It's very Premier League or Man United-esque here. Like the amount of times we've just signed like 4 players that we expect to slot straight into our team and go well. Maybe it goes differently for St Kilda. But there was a transfer window. I know I'm sort of changing the topic here, but we brought in Mkhitaryan, Pogba and Zlatan, and everyone was like, we're going to win the league. And then it just went to shit. So, hopefully for St Kilda fans,
hard to compare them to Man United though, just because of how rubbish Man United are at just sort of general decision making and business and stuff like that. Oh, come on.
I'm joking.
You're like the biggest spending team in the world and 15th in the Premier League.
Yeah, no, that is true.
Needs to be studied.
I think these are all great gets. Higgins in the forward line was great this year. Liam Ryan complements that. Sam Flanders, probably a similar type to what they've had in there. Do you reckon, Dill? The St Kilda midfield? Do you think Flanders complements it well? Do you think they already have that type?
Probably got better movement than some of those previous guys.
I think he is better than them. But when I think of the Freo St Kilda game this year, it was McRae and Garcia and Windhager. They were all just dominating on the inside.
Yeah, I just think they have a lot of options to go into the midfield now, and they don't have many. I don't know how to say this properly, but they don't have many just genuine midfielders, and Flanders is a genuine midfielder.
Yeah.
McRae is a stopgap as a first possession player, so I think they'll want Sam Flanders to do a little bit more of that. You've got Philippou, you've got possibly Darcy Wilson, you've got Garcia, you've got Toby Travaglia. They're all midfielders that aren't quite midfielders yet, but you'd think some of them will work based on the football that they've played. So I feel this was a good pickup for them. They probably paid slightly too high in pick 7, but
for Flanders,
Flanders, yeah. I think it was a good move.
We actually brought this up on the debate show that I was on, during the week about St Kilda, and I sort of asked, will they improve much? And it sort of talked myself into a pretty good argument. I think as a smaller market club, with all due respect to St Kilda, they face the very real reality that they have to overpay to land some of these big fish. If they're pound for pound offering the same amount of money as Collingwood for Tom De Koning, like which way do you think that goes? They are up against the wall in that scenario. They have to overpay for these players, and then probably did per player, probably offer, I'm going to guess, and the Lalika one, which didn't happen. They have to offer they have to pay this small club premium, and that's just a reality of our league. I do think that in time, if St Kilda becomes a successful playing group, which at this point they're not that yet. They haven't, they didn't play finals this year, but I do think that will get easier for them over the time. So to this point, was this what they necessarily needed to do to ensure that their team is more competitive over the next 3? Obviously, keeping Nazar is a big factor in this as well, where it will get easier and more players will want to come play for St Kilda when they're playing finals. Yeah, I think that is what they're envisaging.
And it's when you're doing anything, like if it's something in business or whatever, you have to have a strategy and make decisions. Making no decision is worse, which is what I feel a lot of the clubs down the bottom, you mentioned the small market thing, that's the environment that St Kilda are living in. At least they're doing something. We don't know if it's going to work, and it could come unstuck and they could be in a difficult position in 10 years, but as a fan, I would rather them try to do something than do nothing.
Well, if they really lose a first rounder and a second rounder for Flanders and Ryan?
Pick 7 isn't absurd for Flanders.
Yeah, you know what you're getting with him, don't you?
Yeah,
in this year's draft.
This draft,
and he's ready to go. He can play well straight away.
I was
going to say he was undervalued at the Gold Coast, so it's a good move for me.
Yeah, they lose captain Jack Steele, who's been struggling there for a while now. Fans quite sad to see him go. They hold on to Rowan Marshall, which I think is massive. I think that 2-ruck dynamic, lots is made of the Freo one with Darcy and Jackson, but it's basically like having Jackson's a different type, but two very mobile rucks around the ground, which we've spoken about. So I think that's going to be massive for them. I think from what I've seen of Rowan Marshall's best, his contested marking down the ground is elite. TDK probably brings that a bit more, but I wonder if they bring Rowan Marshall behind the football more in 2026. And then they've sort of got two pillars at each end, a very solid back six. They didn't end up bringing Lee Kalia. They didn't want to pay him the money. And then Silvani can play at both ends as well. So, yeah, they're going to have a lot more flexibility with the Magnets.
Yeah, it's a bit, again, like it's a bit Hawthorne-esque, isn't it? Where you can just play players in different positions and just test the opposition. I feel like Ross Lyon will thrive with that sort of adaptation that he can use.
Yeah. This aggressive off-season is also against the backdrop of 4 years where I think St Kilda openly said they wanted to attack the draft. I think they did a really good job.
Yeah.
I guess my final statement on them would be that I don't anticipate a bounce as early as next year. I still think the gap between them and the rest of the finalist sides was too big. I think maybe 2 years from now, we do see a surge, and I actually think it will be more likely driven by the guys they've drafted in the last 4 years. Obviously, Nazai is one of them, but Mateus Philippou, I think, has the upside that they crave to move into that next bracket. So I think it will come. I don't think it'll happen next year. But I do broadly applaud what they've done. However, we didn't actually mention at all what happened with Lee Kalia, which was an absolute shit show.
Yeah, probably a good result for them in the end. Like, they made an offer, probably overs, and then they backed out of it. Maybe if it was a bit more modest, they could have got him through the door, and then they would have had a very strong back six. Can you tell me about Travalia, Dylan? Like, he didn't really have a massive year this year, but he was really highly touted last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'm a massive fan. A tall, athletic. At the moment, he's I suppose you call him like a third tall defender. He can intercept and play aerially, and he can run the ball out of defence. I think long term, you'd see him as a bit of a Will Day-esque midfielder.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Will Day did at the beginning of his career. Started as that tall interceptor, hybrid type.
Okay.
And went into the midfield. He's tough as anything, can run, kind of has all the attributes. It's just getting time. But I always saw him as a player did he go top 10 in the end? He was about 10, wasn't he?
Yeah, 9 or 10.
Did they have consecutive picks?
They have consecutive picks, but it got pushed back after the Ashcroft and Lombard bid. But yeah, anyway, it's around that 10 mark. He was always one to me that would take a little bit longer. He's quite skinny, frail looking in a way, but he goes so hard at the ball. A bit of an Angus Clark type player at the moment with maybe some high-end upside for the midfield. So I'm a big fan.
You gave him big raps last year, and I was keen to see him come on. And then Taru came into the side and really took the spotlight.
Tyru's just so exciting because of his athleticism.
He just looks like he's going to be the best interceptor in the game very soon.
Yeah, nobody springs that. He won the jumping vertical at the combine. Tyru, like just a freak. Yeah.
On to Sydney, who were active this trade period, bringing in one of the best key forwards in the competition, Charlie Curnow. The brother of the best contested player in the competition, Jaiva Sarong, and Malcolm Roses Jr. from Gold Coast. Will Hayward, Ollie Florent, and Jack Buller leave. They have said ta-ta to their next 3 first-round picks. Gave up a third for Sarong. They hold a few picks in the 30s and 40s in this year's draft. Massive to get Charlie Curnow in. We spoke about this as being a real tilt for the flag in the next couple of years whilst Chad Warner's there and Charlie Curnow is still in his prime. Boys, what are we saying?
Oh, yeah, I think it was a very productive trade period. I think when the Curnow story first broke, I did think it was unlikely Sydney would be able to facilitate a deal. In the end, they give up one of the most aggressive offers for a player we've ever seen. Just in the fact that we've never seen 3 first-round picks move like that before, I don't think. Maybe did Freo offer 3 for Jackson? Doesn't matter. If they did, they got one back maybe. I can't remember. Either way.
2.
It was just 2, was it? Doesn't matter.
The difference between Freo and Sydney there, though, is Sydney are a northern team and have the academies coming through. I think that's a factor in that.
Age is also a factor as well. Yeah. So it is quite aggressive. But yes, on your point, this year, which obviously is included in one of those 3 picks, they get Max King anyway. So we're really talking about 2 years where they don't hold a first-round pick, and who knows what will happen after that. The question is, firstly, with their arrivals, like Charlie Curnow is the major answer to their woes forward of centre, particularly talls like McDonald and Amati. Now he comes in and largely addresses that issue. Jai Sarong is probably more speculative to become a first choice key back, given his height.
He's that third tall. So who else do they have there?
Well, that's probably still a gap for them then.
Yeah, exactly.
Because McCartan's good but undersized as well.
He'll slot straight into that best 22, I believe. Maybe not as a key defender.
I think he will
third
too.
spot.
I think
Yeah.
they'll maybe potentially repurpose some tools. I'm just trying to think. So Melican, McCartan are the sort of two
Robbie Fox.
key pillars. Blakey is the
He's running defender, really, isn't he?
he
probably
is.
frees him up a
He
bit
can
then,
play
doesn't it?
tall a little bit. You could play, and then they've God, who's the guy that they drafted out of Werribee last year?
Last year, Bice.
Not
Bice.
Patton.
Riley
right,
Bice is another one. So again, if you look at all these teams recruiting, they're recruiting a lot of these hybrids. Hybrids are
Yeah,
growing in the
true.
defensive half of the ground that can play tall and small. Because
Interesting.
they're constantly having to swap between a Nick Watson, a Toby Green, and then go to somebody a little bit taller, like a Gunston-y type as well.
That's true.
Hamling Sade, he was rumoured to go, so that's
Yeah.
another key defender.
Yeah,
right there.
I reckon ideally he wouldn't be in the.
Yeah.
Did Francis stay in the end?
No, he got cut, I reckon.
He got cut. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think personally for me, Sydney overall in the trade period actually won the trade period because they are the only team. We've gone through all of these teams so far, and Melbourne have made these good moves. Carlton have made these good moves. These guys actually move the needle
Yeah,
for 2026. So they could actually win a premiership off the back of this.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can't discount a team that has Chad Warner, Errol Goulden, Nick
Heaney.
Blakey, Isaac Heaney. I knew I was missing someone
Papley.
obvious there, Papley. I think the talent speaks for itself. And I think this was a fantastic move for them. And I don't think they'll really feel the pain of going a couple of years without first-round picks in 26 and 27, which one of them is a Tasmania draft anyway.
They probably don't have that many stars behind the ball, but Kerno makes the forward line infinitely better.
Well,
as a
Blakey
target
is
man.
one, and I think Sarong plays similar. So I think, not absolute superstars, but
He'd have to be more locked down though, wouldn't he? Sarong.
no, I think he has that ability, but he has shown in the VFL his ability to transition.
I reckon at AFL level, he doesn't play with the ball as much.
Maybe.
I reckon it'd be a bigger deficiency coming from the VFL with your offensive
Possibly.
skills.
I don't really rate the Swans' depth. Everyone's sort of saying they're going to jump back into the top 8, make a premiership push next year. I don't think they will. I think they may be on, the sort of bottom 4 of the 8, but I don't think they're going to make a premiership push. Sorry, Heath, if you're in the chat.
That midfield is insane though.
Yeah.
That's the best midfield in the comp.
Yeah, definitely.
What, you take it above Gold Coast?
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, I agree.
Heaney, Warner, Goulden, Rowbottom.
Yeah. I'd probably take Gold Coast.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Brisbane?
I'm not sure. I'm a Sydney man.
It's definitely the most
Sydney believer, I should say.
Brisbane and Sydney have really different midfields because like Sydney have a lot of speed in there and power.
Yeah, no,
Whereas
Warner
Brisbane's more-
terrifies me.
Brisbane's more technical.
Yeah. Win a flag, Heaney. Not Heaney. Warner, and then come play in the purple, brother.
Like, yeah, for me, they win the period.